I'm most worried about the fact that Mayank has a flight at 9:30 p.m., so we'll try to wrap this session in time. It's been an amazing evening. We've heard out from an actor, from content creators, from a platform, YouTube. And now we have two VCs and two founders in the creator ecosystem. And, so far we've seen video platforms, video creators, but two very unique startups here. Pratilipi is about, storytelling, self-publishing, and Kuku FM is about audio content. So we will explore that. But Mayank and Madhukar, it's great, the views, the engagement, the number of users. I mean, we heard passionate views about, Bhuvan Ban's fans, about how they are not just his consumers, but his cheerleaders. But for a VC evaluating the space today, for an investor, what are your thoughts? Is there a glut of these platforms, glut of these apps, or, has there been a fair sense of consolidation that you have seen?
Thank you for having me here. See, I think like any industry, when it starts out, a lot of companies raise capital because there's so much excitement. There are a lot of models which are unknown, but have a lot of potential. So they do raise capital. But as with any industry, after some time, the dust settles. You figure out what models are working, what models are not working, where are the models actually adding value to the consumers, and they stay put. Like we've seen the OG of creator economy startups in India, ShareChat, continuing to do well. It's been 7-8 years, and they are by far the leader, and leader in innovation. But after that also many companies have come through, and now real businesses have the potential to get built because monetization is very real for these platforms who are serving creators and their users. Earlier, monetization used to be just ads, but now microtransactions are very real sources of monetization. It could be like 3x more revenue for a creator if you can get money directly from the user. So I feel now things are settling and business models are emerging, which is helping platforms as well as creators make a lot more money.
Right. I'm going to come to the monetization part in a bit. But interestingly, both of you share some portfolio companies, right? I think ShareChat is in India Quotient and an Elevation investment. Yeah. But apart from that, India Quotient's been very big on the creator economy startups, whether it's Kuku, FM, who's also here. So Madhukar, what is your thesis on the creator economy beyond the users and the engagement and the traction that we are seeing across platforms?
Yeah, so the way we look at the whole, I would basically not only call it creator economy, I'll say digital economy. I think that with everything getting digitized, the opportunity of an individual to basically do things, which is the purest form of capitalism, right? That's coming in India, right? So now, I think 10 years back when these platforms were not there, internet was not there, the only way to make money was either to do a business or to basically work in a company, right? So, but this individual capability to have one core skill, right? It can be you are a good singer, or you basically can do a good story, audio story, or you can make a reels or Moj, right? Or you can teach very well and then distribute to users through YouTube, etc. So I think we are very bullish on this, right? We think that this opportunity for individuals to basically do something meaningful, not necessarily working for someone, but for themselves, and create value over there, that has been the theme, right?
That's a generational shift,
yes,
right?
Yes, that's a generational shift. And I think we have a lot of role models now, right? So which is leading to, if you go to Instagram or Moj, right, it's really very, how do I say, it's very, I feel very happy. You'll see that kids in villages are basically making reels, right? And they're forming groups, right? And they keep on coming with new and new reels, dancing on some song, doing some skate, right? And all kind of content they are creating, right? Maybe they are 1,000, 2,000 kilometers away from Bombay. I don't think they can afford to come to Bombay to take a shot in Bollywood, but now they can create their own Bollywood right there in their small villages and towns, right? And that's amazing, right? So I think that's what we are basically looking at, and we are saying that whatever we can enable, or we can create those platforms where these people can come and express themselves, make money for themselves, and do what they love doing, right? I think that's the thesis, right? And that's the broader thesis. In that, basically, Share Chat, Kuku FM, Friend, and many other kind of companies keep coming, and we generally wait for entrepreneurs to come and come up with specific business models. We try to build a thesis more on the horizontal side. What are the things which we want to do?
Right.
And if a good team comes and says we want to attack the same problem with a different angle, we are happy to support them and give them money.
Right. Before I get to Bisu and Ranjeet, Mayank, will we also see a shift, from investing in apps that enable creators? Are you going to see VC firms investing directly in creators? For instance, I think Raj Shamani, right, who started this House of X, he's already raised one round of funding. He's raising another. Sharan Hegde has raised capital from Nikhil Kaman. So is that going to be the next wave where we are going to see, capital going into individual creators who have become brands?
Sure. See, I think the way to think about this creator is that it is a company of today. It's an enterprise. It's not one person, right? That one person is bringing the labor and the entrepreneurial spirit. But there are other tools now available for them to actually run a business. These tools could be the infra to create content. This could be distribution platforms. These could be payment or financing platforms. Once all of these tools are available, then why not that business, that one individual could build a large business?
But isn't that a key man risk that you're over-indexing on that one person?
Sure. So I think when that one person is able to use their own sort of followership to create a wedge and then build a business around it. So people, if they can build, let's say, a merchandising business around their initial piece of content and then get other people around them. Can this person become, there was this whole thesis around house of brands. Can this then start enabling smaller other creators to join their organization and start building off a running start, right? Not everybody can bootstrap their way. But this person has, let's say, 10 million followers. Can they start getting traffic to other creators? So it's a bigger business that you're building. Now it's about how much ambition that one person has. People could be very happy taking home 50 lakh a year. That's a very big number for a lot of people. But if somebody wants to build a legacy, wants to build a multi-generational company, yes, there are companies to be built, and capital will chase wherever there is value creation.
Look at what Mr. Beast has been able to do in the US, right? But Ranjeet and Bisu, just your take. Both of you chose unconventional formats. Take us through that, because everybody was, going gaga over video, and you decided to focus on publishing. You decided to focus on audio. So again, what was the thinking there, and are you still convinced that, this is the way forward?
To go first?
Yeah. Actually we started Kuku FM in 2018, and I think everyone have seen that adoption of internet after Geo wave. Today in India there are 800 million internet users. And if you see overall internet content, then most of the content is biased toward English content. And when we suddenly jumped on internet, when India suddenly jumped on internet, social media created vernacular content, but the good quality content, that mostly premium quality content that is long form, you want to learn or want to actually get entertainment, that was missing in the market. I think both of us exist at that stage that if you there is biased content on social media, but if you actually really want to consume good quality content, then it comes like Kuku FM and Pratilipi.
And a majority of your listeners, consumers of Kuku FM content, are the non-English.
Yes, we are vernacular. We started with Hindi. Today we exist in 7 languages. All of them are Indian languages, not English.
Wow. Ranjeet?
So actually that's a wrong question to ask me. When we started building Pratilipi, even then we always said that it was not about literature, it was not about text. Thesis was always that great stories were powerful, are powerful, and will remain powerful irrespective of formats. So you have to start somewhere. So we started with text, but over a period of time we have launched Pratilipi FM for audio, Pratilipi Comics for comics, Westland for physical books, IVM for podcasts. Now we have roughly about 30 shows under development, including movies, TV shows, web series. So it was never about one format. It was never about literature. It was never about
It was
text.
about the story.
It was about the story or the power of IP that can translate across formats, across languages, across geographies, hopefully soon enough.
Right. But Ranjeet and Bisu, the common perception is that Indian consumers love content, but they don't like to pay for them.
I don't think anybody who is in the ecosystem thinks that.
Huh.
Anybody who is glued in the ecosystem. I have been saying this for 5-6 years. People have paid in China, people have paid in US, people have paid in US, Japan, Korea. If for some reason you think your country is a snowflake and somehow different that here it will not happen, that's a very stupid argument. And right now I don't think anybody in the ecosystem believes that. Like not just for Pratilipi, not just for Kuku FM, for Pocket, for Hotstar, for anyone, for ShareChat. Like monetization is so much easier to crack than either attention or engagement is.
Your
I think like it is not the problem of the money that people don't have money to pay. It was the problem of payment ecosystem, and that is solved by UPI. Now everyone in the country
easier to
has
pay now
UPI.
because of UPI.
And actually now you can make product that can work on micro transaction, that can work on even like subscription based model. Like this is the first time in India that you can develop actually subscription platform also. There is UPI auto pay. Like before this, there was no ecosystem of the payment. Even people had money, but they never had the trust that I can spend money on internet. Today, everyone has that trust. They spend money on like internet. They are scanning the QR code. They are doing transactions. So I think everyone have money. Now they have the medium also to spend that money.
Right.
If I
Would
may
you
also
agree
add
that
one
UPI was
value
an inflection? Yeah.
It was, but there is a bigger inflection point, which is that in any ecosystem, and I spent a lot of time in China trying to understand that 4-5 years back, it's also that you need to get to a critical mass where you have enough high quality content which is differentiated that people would want to pay. So UPI was of course what accelerated this process. But what really started this was Hotstar. So like at least as a founder, I am so much thankful to them that they got first Game of Thrones and then IPL and then World Cups. Like if you have high quality differentiated content and you have a way to pay, people will pay. But if you don't have either high quality content, people will not pay. If you don't have differentiated content, you have the same kind of content other people have, people will not pay. And even if you have high quality differentiated content, if I don't have a mechanism to pay like a UPI or a credit card or whatever else, then obviously I'll not pay. So you need all three to happen at the same time. But if it happens, then people start paying. And of course, once the penny gap is solved, once I have paid 1 rupee for one service, it's a lot easier for me to pay 1 rupee for another service and then 100 rupee for another service and 1,000 rupees for another service.
Got
So
it.
huge props to UPI, but huge props to Hotstar guys as well.
Got it. Madhukar and Mayank, take us through, monetization. Is microtransactions the big tipping point, the way to go when it comes to monetization on these platforms?
See, again, I think the way I look at it is that content business will never be monetized similar to a goods or a services business, right? So content is like a very unique phenomena which is on internet, right? And the way internet has worked, I think content will also have a similar kind of a monetization mechanism. So to expect that everyone will pay equal for the same value, I don't think that's going to happen, right? So there will be a power law. So like on internet, 90% of the stuff is free, right?
Correct.
10% of it, people who need most, who can maximize that knowledge, they pay a lot, right? I think the same thing is going to happen over here also. So people who will be able to concentrate value in content for a specific set of people, those specific set of people will give a lot of money on these platforms. They will spend a lot of money because they are deriving that value. And there will be many, many more, like maybe 100 times more consumers who will pay very, very little amount of money because they are not actually able to derive those value from that product, right? So that is why there will be platforms where 5%, 10% of the people will pay tons of money, which will make it really, really viable for these platforms to be profitable and very large in sizes. But to expect that each and every person will pay, I think we are not going to be US
Right.
in the next 20 years also, right?
Mayank, would you agree? Because, you've sort of been very big on this trend and you've seen it happening for ShareChat, how microtransactions have taken off on that platform.
See, I think I'll talk about maybe a bit of a sort of mega trend, step back, and then specifically on microtransactions. I think 4 or 5 years back, if you thought of a media platform, the only time it could monetize when it had a certain scale. It was a minimum scale, 10 million, 20 million mouse, because below that you're not relevant to an advertiser, because that was the only dollar available for media platforms. Today we are seeing companies at 400, 500,000 DAO also monetizing very well, because they are going in the microtransaction route. I think Bisu spoke about subscriptions. We know about buying digital goods. I think the big sort of other trend that's been playing out is gifting. People are actually gifting their own hard-earned money in terms of digital rewards to creators, which goes directly into the creator's pocket. It's a trend that was always there in China. Nobody believed that it could happen in India, but it's happening in India. That is the fundamental trend that's also at play. I think the third sort of trend we are seeing is beyond ads and microtransactions, commerce revenue is also becoming very real.
That's right.
E-commerce revenue. E-commerce is like what, $70 billion market in India? You pick up any survey, users will, about more than half of the users will say they interact with product content on Instagram or on any of the platforms. If they're interacting, it is at some point in time directly or indirectly leading to a transaction. It is influencing their transaction. And now there are platforms who are helping close the loop as well. So we invested in the company Wishlink, which is working just on that, where creators have their presence across multiple platforms, selling products over there or recommending products and then making money off that recommendation. So I feel now we are getting to that point where commerce itself, influence-driven commerce, is also a very real revenue opportunity for the creators who are in that category.
Got it. Very, very interesting points, Mayank, particularly on the influence-driven commerce and the others. Ranjeet, what impact is AI going to have for startups like yours? And maybe Bisu can also weigh in, and then Mayank can.
I think all of us can do like a lot of learning from history if we just stop believing that we are somehow unique. I think the last big technology, and again, depending on who you ask, some people would say that AI is essentially the next big technology after mobile or internet. Some people will say that it's next big technology after paper or fire. But I think the big three, in my opinion, at least in the modern age, have been printing press, internet, and then AI. And in each case, what has happened with the new technology is that suddenly a lot more people can become suppliers. So before printing press was invented, you could have like maybe 100 books, 1,000 books, maybe 10,000 books. And even those books could have been only 10, 20, 50 copies each. When internet came along, suddenly instead of when printing came along, suddenly you could have like hundreds of thousands of creators. And these creators, some of them at least, could have like 1 million copies sold. When internet came along, this tens of thousands became like millions, and the copies sold became again tens of millions. And I'm talking about books, but the same logic applies to every other format as well. Just think of it as like content, don't think of it as books. I think with AI, the same thing is going to happen. Right now, to be able to publish, let's say, a book, you still need a cover designer, an editor, and so many other things, different things. With AI, I think a lot more people would be able to become creators, and similarly, the most successful creators would have even more outsized impact. So it's going to essentially, I don't know how it's going to play out, like the details of it, but at least at a high level, we are going to see a lot more creators, people who we never thought that they could be creators in the current environment, creating the kind of content that was supposed to be like only 10 people can create this kind of
give them more tools to create content. Bisu?
Yeah. So in my opinion, like actually AI is increasing the output of the whatever creator is producing. So like in Kuku FM, we can see if one creator like used to produce a story in let's say 10 hours, now they are able to produce that story in like 2 to 3 hours. And the reason is behind that because there are multiple things that can get automated by AI. If like creator is good in voice, they will record in their own voice, but there are multiple things like thumbnail, fact check.
So people have already started doing that in a significant
already using
fashion.
it, yes. And sometimes we use like behind audio, you can give some graphics. People are generating images also. Now you like for hiring a designer to create that image, it is very expensive. But using through these tools, it is like so easy and it is very fast also.
So you see more stories, more content coming out at a
Yeah,
greater
I will
frequency.
say that creator can get like 5x output now.
Wow. Okay. We're coming to the last 5 minutes, so I'm very quickly going to ask all of you to give us one or two trends that you think will take off when it comes to the creator economy or the digital economy, like you said, and the startup ecosystem. Ranjeet, you want to go first?
I think mine would sound a little self-serving. I think we'll start seeing a lot more cross-format, cross-language, cross-geography, IP pollination.
Because you're now cross-format.
Yeah. We are already seeing that happen since like the Harry Potters and the Marvels
Yeah.
and the DC
Yeah.
comics of the world. But I think we'll start seeing this like so much more.
Got it. Mayank?
I personally think that all the tools that help creators run their business more effectively and make more money are fantastic investments. Think of these as building SaaS, but for creators who are the enterprise. So if somebody is building a subscription management platform, an engagement platform, monetization platform to help creators do better with their business, those are also going to be fabulous businesses because they are not affected by one creator or one industry or one
They
type.
are the pipe.
They are the pipe.
They are the pipe. So,
And pipes are good businesses to invest in.
and is that something that you're looking at?
Yeah, we've already made investments. So Turnip is in that space, helping gamers engage and monetize their
So
community.
you'll
Wriggy.
also look at the pipe than what
Absolutely.
runs on
So
it.
that's something very exciting for me.
Madhukar?
Yeah, I think the trend which I'm very excited about is that right now while the creator economy is doing very well, but still it's very concentrated at the top, right? So I think
When you say concentrated at the top,
like most of the money is being
with
made
the
by
top 10, 15.
yeah.
But
I was just trying to
isn't
get
that
a sense.
true of anything that,
Yeah, but right now it is very agency-like, right? So it's like you need to have a very high agency. You should be able to do 5 things very well. Then only you can come at the top, right? I think out of those 5 things, maybe one is good enough for you to come at the top if the other 4 is done by the ecosystem, right? So I think what Mayank was saying, not only in sense of business, but in some sense of creating a democratic kind of a platform where if somebody comes with a certain talent, they are able to basically monetize themselves
more effectively with...
because right now the percentage of the total creators who are monetizing is very small, right? I think that number has to increase. Then only this will remain exciting. Otherwise, a lot of creators will just fall off, right? It's a trend now. So everyone wants to be a creator, but when they will realize that in 3 years they didn't make a lot of money and all the money was made by only 5,000 or 10,000, 20,000 people, then the millions will lose the
mojo to keep...
mojo, and then they will walk away, right? That's what happened with Ola and Uber drivers, right? You don't want that to happen, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the headlines at one point used to be, Ola Uber drivers earn more than a software engineer. Bisu.
I think from founder side, who is helping the creators to distribute the content that will become the more valuable. If like Pratilipi is making for writers, if we are making for audio, YouTube is making for video. For creator side, I think there is audience for everybody. I think they will learn how to hook the users. And rest of the things, AI or all these tools will help, but at the end it will like land on your storytelling. And that will exist actually in power law. So I think people will become more and more better at like storytelling, and then that will win in the market.
Right.
Because it will get hooked your audience, and then you can monetize that thing.
Right. Final question, Ranjeet. We were talking about this, how creators are, you should look at them as enterprises, not as individuals, because they start out as creators and then, a business is built around them. They're getting into merchandising and so on and so forth. So in that case, is that the biggest risk for enabling platforms like yours, that, creators will just go direct?
I think that's a valid question. That's one of the reasons, smaller reasons, but still one of the reasons why we have taken an IP ecosystem approach. So for example, can a penguin, let's say, or can an agent give a writer more money if he goes for penguin for writing and then let's say Kuku for audio and then somebody else for movie and somebody else for comics and so on and so forth? Theoretically, yes. But that is the approach that we have taken essentially, that if you're working with us, then we can do the physical book, we can do the literature, we can do the movie part, we can do the podcast. You don't really have to go to the agency. So essentially, we are our own agency if the writer wants. So for us, that risk kind of doesn't exist as much, but in theory, sure, that is a valid point.
Great. On that note, thank you all very much for joining us on this session. A lot of interesting insights. Thank you very much.